Here's Brody Brazil.
You know, I've said all along that the fate of 50-plus years of A's baseball in Oakland is now in the hands of 60-plus lawmakers in the state of Nevada, and I still hold that to be true. If the A's can secure public money for this ballpark project at the site of the Tropicana Hotel, I do believe that everything else will fall into line. But something new came to light, and it could throw a huge wrench into all of these plans, and that is the drama of a MLB relocation fee or not. I'll be honest, I thought we were entirely squared away on this. I'll show you the documentation and the detail and the backstory in just a second. But if the A's are subject all of a sudden to a relocation fee by Major League Baseball that they were not expecting, and it is of a significant amount, I mean, this could be a complication to the process that not anybody had on their radar. Let's first go back in the history of recent relocation fees across professional sports. And you can see how the prices have escalated even in the last decade plus alone. I mean, look at when Seattle, the Sonics, they relocated to Oklahoma City. In 2008, the NBA charged them only $30 million. Compare that even recently to the Raiders going from Oakland to Las Vegas. The NFL said, we'd like $378 million. How did they arrive at that number? I don't know. But it wasn't even like when the Chargers moved north from San Diego to Los Angeles in 2017, $650 million. Obviously, big market, smaller move. That's just what the NFL decided on. St. Louis, they also had to pay way more than $550 because I believe they got sued by Missouri and the city of St. Louis, but $550 was the relocation fee by the NFL back in 2016 to head out west. Hockey's Atlanta Thrashers in 2011, I mean, you know, for the time, more than 10 years ago, and for a league like the NHL, $60 million, pretty significant. But again, you can see from, you know, the top to bottom here how over time it was a much cheaper deal. Like a relocation fee existed in 2008, but man, these prices and these numbers have skyrocketed, generally speaking, across the board. Now, you don't see any baseball teams on that list because baseball teams haven't relocated that much in recent decades, hardly at all. 1970, the Seattle Pilots became the Milwaukee Brewers, I think after just one season, right? In 1972, the Washington Senators became Arlington's Texas Rangers. And then in 2005, famously or infamously, the Montreal Expos became the Washington Nationals. So that 2005 move, that relocation, that is the one MLB move in the last 51 years. Before 2005, 1972 was the only other time that a big league team had moved in recent times. And yeah, there were a couple, obviously late 60s into the early 70s. There was a lot of maneuvering, a lot of coming out west. But as soon as the West Coast got established, obviously the A's were one of the later teams. The Giants and Dodgers had already come out west. Seattle eventually, and I think it was 1969. But after that, things were pretty established until 2005. But you'll note here on the bottom, there's never been a relocation fee exercised or demanded. Now, some people have tried to call me out and say, well, there's never been a relocation fee in baseball. How can you suggest that the A's would ever even be charged one? Nobody's ever been charged one. But here's the difference. There has been one known about and talked about, and just because it's never been implemented doesn't mean it's never existed. 2005, special circumstances. And again, 2005 was at a time where you just saw before, you know, what did it cost a basketball team in 2008? $30 million. So the dollar amounts were quite low back then. That's like $1 million per team. By the way, the team that's moving pays the league. The league spreads out that money across all the other existing teams. A relocation fee exists, like in baseball, as a deterrent, so that you can't just be the Chicago White Sox one year and then next year be the Iowa White Sox and 2 years later be the Kentucky White Sox. It's just that there's a reason that it's talked about and it exists in definition. Just because it hasn't been implemented doesn't mean that it's not an expectation that it could be demanded by owners. And that brings us kind of to this present situation. You understand that baseball teams don't relocate. The fee has never been enforced on anybody. But going back to last summer here, June 27th from the New York Post, it was said that it has been speculated, right, that if the A's left Oakland, the team's home of 54 years, they might need to pay a relocation fee as high as $1 billion. Now, that's the highest amount I've seen. I also understand that expansion is apparently a $2 billion endeavor. So relocation at $1 billion, I don't know. That established, MLB held its owners' meeting earlier this month, and a relocation fee was not discussed in an open session, sources said. So that was the first time we ever heard rumors about two things: relocation fee being that high, but also that Major League Baseball might look past it just to get the A's situation settled. That was in the summertime, in June. Now we're here December 6th, which I know because I was at the winter meetings when this was discussed and this quote came out. From the Associated Press, MLB Commissioner Manfred says 2023 is a big year for A's future. Quote, the Oakland Athletics will have their relocation fee waived if they decide to move to Las Vegas. And MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred says 2023 is a big year when it comes to the future of the franchise. He says, quote, we're past any reasonable timeline for the situation in Oakland to be resolved. So we've just gone here from potentially getting waived to, Rob Manfred from Associated Press reporting, I was not in person when he said it. Was not in the room when he said that to whoever he said that to. I was on site, but not in the room. So we go from that, right? No relocation fee. It's part of the perks. It's part of the incentives of the A's going to Las Vegas. Skipping out on $300 or $400 or $500 million. By the way, $500 million was the number that a lot of us operated on. $500 million relocation fee waived. And then this happened. The clip I'm about to play you here is from Monday. You'll see Jeremy Aguero talking. He's representing the A's in pitching SB 509. He gives us a little bit more information and new details that, quite honestly, we weren't aware of.
The Commissioner of Baseball has at least suggested that if the state of Nevada can get a public-private partnership that is acceptable to Major League Baseball, to everyone, that the relocation fee that would be traditionally provided from a team moving from one location to another would potentially be waived. They have not said that yet. They're talking about meeting next month, and I think that's certainly something that we all should hope for. But that's only the relocation fee that's charged by Major League Baseball, right? They also have to move a business from California to Nevada, and so there will be some cost associated with that, and that's really what I was alluding to.
But you didn't say what that relocation fee is.
Look, I'll tell you, when I get that question from time to time in terms of what the relocation fee would be, the best ballpark numbers that I've received is something on the order of $300 million is the relocation fee. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to hide the ball with you, Madam Vice Chair.
Okay, so look,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
That is new information to all of us right there, that I thought relocation was an incentive. Commissioner Manfred said it late last year as part of sparking the talks and negotiation, and here's somebody representing the A's telling us it's not a certainty yet. Wouldn't you like and need to know that that is nailed down? The A's are getting free land at the Tropicana Hotel site. That's worth about an estimated $180 million, $20 million per acre times 9 acres. Free land. We thought they were getting waived relocation fees. I used to have this saying 500. Now I'll adjust it and say 300. Okay. They're getting $175 million from GLPI, Gaming and Leisure Properties Incorporated. They co-own, they co-run the Bally's, the Tropicana site with Bally's. They're gifting the A's money for future purposes. And then here's the $380 million of public funds, which are basically SB 509. But what happens if you don't get those waived fees? Cost you, obviously, in your bigger picture projections. But if the A's need this, and they've said they need this $380 million to make a $1.5 billion ballpark happen. If there's no public money, it was also quoted in that meeting by Steve Hill, CEO of the Convention and Visitors Bureau, that the A's would seek other cities. If they don't get $380 million, they can't make it work here. So what if there's an additional cost to relocate that MLB decides to incur here of $300 million? Unexpected. Owners would vote on this. And I go back to Rob Manfred, promising this last winter. Was he speaking out of turn? It does seem like something all the owners would have to be voting on. He promised it. He was ahead of that. I don't know if he knows something that they don't know or we all don't know. But to have it said by somebody who represents the A's, doesn't work for them, but is being paid by them and represents them on an important stage, that they should be hopeful that relocation is not charged. Like if $380 million here breaks the deal, what's $300 going to do in a surprise fee by Major League Baseball? So let's just evaluate Major League Baseball owners. Why would they enforce a relocation fee? Well, although none has ever been charged in the history of a Major League Baseball team relocating, it sets a bad precedent for future fees. You've got Tampa right around the corner. What if they relocate to Orlando? If there's no relocation fee for the A's in Las Vegas, Tampa's going to go, no chance are you getting any money from us to move 90 miles north up the road. So it sets a bad precedent. And then again, what happens when the Royals want to move because their stadium situation is rough, or the Angels want to relocate? I'm just hypotheticals here, not scaring anybody. It's teams that want new stadiums. It sets a bad precedent for future fees. And again, I know you're going to say it's never happened, but just because it's never been enforced doesn't mean that it hasn't existed as a deterrent. Major League Baseball teams across the board profit anywhere from $10 to $17 million, depending if it's $300 million or $500 million per team in a cost, and maybe times that by 2 if the A's and Tampa are paying a relocation fee. So any team, I think, would like to have between $20 and $34 million extra in their pockets in the next couple years. That's a couple really good players for every team's starting lineup that they did not have before. That's significant money right there. So those are reasons why owners might say we need to enforce this. Here's a couple reasons why owners might relax on this. Getting Oakland and Tampa settled sooner than later obviously opens the door to inevitable expansion. We know baseball is going to expand by 2 teams, Nashville and somewhere else. That's my best bet, my timeline, somewhere here in the decade of the 2020s. Baseball's expansion fee, that is also believed to be about $2 billion per team that expands. For every team that expands, or every time a team expands, every other team in the league gets $66.6 million. Every team gets that. Now we're talking about like helping you field a team for a year. I mean, that's $66 million. That's more than the A's payroll is here in 2023, their total payroll. So imagine that times 2. Now we're talking $132 million. Good math there, Brazil. $132 million for 2 teams to expand per team that exists. So maybe they're trying to skip this in order to get to this sooner. Are you willing to give up $20 to $40 million to get 132 also down the road? Maybe that's why they would relax. Maybe there's other reasons too. Those are the most obvious things on my mind. So SB 509, whether it passes or doesn't is one thing. Baseball's vote is totally separate. Let's say that SB 509 passes, right? A lot of question on that. Here's something I'd never thought. I thought baseball was a slam dunk. I thought this vote was a formality. Why do I keep saying slam dunk? I should say home run. This is a baseball video. Possible outcomes, possible votes by Major League Baseball. They could say no on relocation, although with a public-private partnership intact, and I don't know, that doesn't seem likely. Market size, maybe they've got some issues. I don't know. Maybe they don't want the A's on revenue sharing for longer years, which they would be if they get a deal done in time by January of 2024. So they might vote no on relocation. I'd be surprised by that one. They might vote yes on relocation, and they might waive the fee. A's are gone, out of Oakland, done deal. They might vote yes on relocation, but they might also ask for that $300 million, hypothetically, to be paid. Or $400 or $500. And at that point, I don't know what the A's do. Again, if they've said they can't do it without $380 of public money, how could they also do it if a $300 million fee was charged by Major League Baseball? So look, we've got some relocation fee drama. There's no question about it. Let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. Hey, thumbs up on this video since you made it here all the way to the end. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel so that I can see you next time.